Hello and welcome to this Electude webinar. Your speakers today are Kat Treanor and Dan Perry. Our contact information is on the slide currently, so if you need to ask us any questions following this, please get in touch. The topics that we're going to cover today are about user types, logging in as a teacher, the function of the tabs, opening modules, searching for modules, the functions of modules and how to open and exit them, the functions of the courses tab and the students tab, searching for groups and adding students, and assigning courses to groups of students. I'm now going to pass over to my colleague Dan to introduce you to the domain.
Hi, so first of all, just to give you a brief introduction about who Electude are. So we are a Dutch company and we operate on a worldwide scale, but we started from humble beginnings really with two guys that just wanted to try and change the way that students learn. So the primary focus when using our Electude platform is that we're using our gamified learning environment to encourage and engage students into trying their hardest to learn and to progress with their automotive studies. All of our modules are built to be interactive and engaging and is a very user-friendly and straightforward system to use. And ultimately, we just want to improve the students' learning experience. So every customer will have their own unique address that they access their Electude platform. So it's really important at this point that in the top web address bar, you type in the domain information that we give you when you sign up. Okay, so for this purpose, ours is ukdemo.electude.eu. Once you've done that, you will then see three buttons. So we have student, teacher, and administration. Okay, so you will have a different role normally within your college. So obviously the student is for the student, the teacher is for yourselves, so this is where you would log in to do allocation of content, etc. And then you also will have a site administrator. The site administration side of things is no username, it is purely just a password, okay, and you'll have a nominated person on your site for this. If you click on any of those buttons, so if we click on the teacher, you will see that this is where you enter your login information, which is your username and password, but you will also see a forgotten password link at the bottom there, okay. If you do have any issues with your password and you want to reset it yourself, please click on the forgotten password, enter the email address which you will have registered on the Electude platform, and this will then send you an automatic password reset. Okay. Due to GDPR and data protection, we are unable to see any teacher or student information such as names. Okay. So if you guys send us an email or give us a ring and say, hey Dan or Kat, this teacher can't log in, can you reset their password? We will not be able to see it, okay? Only the site administrator can see that for your college. Okay, so that is the kind of basic functions there on how we access the platform, and now I'll hand you back to Kat.
Thanks, Dan. Okay, now I'm going to log in as a teacher and show you some of the functionalities of when you first log in. As Dan said, an admin will add you as a teacher. You receive an email, and this is the area that you put in those details to press OK. When you first log in, it'll ask you to reset your password and also accept the terms and conditions. The layout of the site of the teacher login is really simple, and it's laid out with tabs at the very top here. So we have the modules tab, and this is where all the content is hosted. So that's the modules, the lessons, the quizzes. We have the courses tab, and that's where we use those modules and put them in a course structure, a bit like a folder. And then we have the students tab, where we take that course that we've built and put them into the student groups. And this is also the area that we can see student results. We have a new tab here called News, where Electude will notify you of any changes or updates on the system. And the last tab is the Settings tab, and this is where you can manually change your password and change some other settings on the site. So the area I'd like to navigate first to is the Modules tab, and this is really the heart of everything that we do, and all the content is hosted here. It's laid out by subject in the default by subjects area, and you can see here the different content areas that we cover. We started with light vehicle. We also have electric drive, Electude simulator, and now heavy vehicles. We can go into one of these sections and press wheels and tyres and find everything on wheels and tyres. You'll see that there is a quiz for every module, and a quiz is the version of the module that's very short and it's more of a proof of knowledge. So here with the module, we can click on it, see a teacher preview page, and then press Start Module. Okay, and this is the view that a student will see. You can see we can navigate to the different questions using the arrows on the right-hand side, or we can click the dots to move to the next question. It's important to remember that the student cannot move on without getting the answer correctly, and that's how we see student results and capture that information. There's also a speaker button in the right-hand side here, and that's to have the text and questions read out loud for any students that might have a need for that. There's also a comment button, a speech bubble just in the bottom right-hand corner here, and that is if you're logged in as a teacher to send us a ticket about this module, if you want a change to be made or if it's not working correctly. And then lastly, we also have the question mark in the top right-hand corner. Okay, and if you press that anywhere on the site, that will help you with the section that you're in. So I've pressed it now and it's helping me navigate through this module. There's one more button to show you when you're inside a module as a teacher, and that is this presentation mode button. I'm just going to press it now for you. And what that does is it takes the animation full screen. So all the text and questions are removed and we can simply use it as a teaching resource to aid in our lesson. And all I'm doing here is clicking the arrow button on my computer to navigate to each section of the animation. And all you do is either press escape or the button again to go back to the normal module size. All right, so that is a module, and now I can explain the quiz version of it. So I'm now going to click the quiz version of the exact same module, and you'll see this is a much shorter module, and when we go inside, there's no text to help us through it, and you'll see there's only about 7 questions there. All right, so I'm just going to back out of that. That's the difference between a quiz and a module. The next thing I want to explain is the different levels. All right, so when we're searching for modules or building a course, it's important to know what level that we're aiming that course at. The easiest way to do that is by clicking this level word here, and that's going to organise every single module in this list from basics to advanced and then to specialist depending on what's available. All right, so if we have a little look at engineering, we'll go for starting and charging systems. And you see it's already remembered my preference here and laid them out from basics to advanced like that. The last thing I'd like to show you in the modules tab is the all new section. Okay, you can find this really easily by clicking default by subject, and at the very bottom there it will say all/new. And this is basically a list of every single module that you'll have access to on your system. And we can organise this quite helpfully in date order. So if I press this twice, it's going to show me the newest modules that have been added onto my system. And this is a great way for you to keep up to date on new stuff that gets added. We always try, but we might miss things, so always keep an eye on this section. And that brings me to what we've added most recently, which is actually just a few weeks ago. And these are our brand new modules called case study modules. And these modules, if I show you very quickly, are slightly different to our usual ones in the fact that they actually take the student through a realistic diagnosis process on a certain fault. So this one, for example, is about a complaint that the car's running out and cuts out a lot. And it's all to do with the throttle position. So I'll just dive through this really quickly so you can see the difference. But really what we want to do, what we want you to feel confident to do by the end of this webinar is to navigate through and explore and play in the site yourself. And I think that's really what we try and encourage and promote, is that you explore the system yourself, have a look at some of the modules, and then come back to us with any questions that you've got. So that's sort of the basics of modules. What I would leave you with is just this searching button at the very top here. And this is how you can really quickly access a module or find a module. So for example, if you want to see if the system has anything on gearboxes, you can just type in a keyword like gearbox, and then it's going to come with every single module that we have on that, again, organized by either level or by title. I'm now going to hand you over to Dan, and he's going to talk you through the courses tab.
Thanks, Kat. So just to the right of the modules tab, we have one that's called courses. Okay, so as Kat explained earlier, what we do is our modules are kind of individual pieces of paper, as it were, and then what we can do is put those into a course, or you could liken it to a book. Okay, but also within those courses or our book, we can also break it down into chapters. So again, we still have the searching function. So if you know a course title that you wish to search for, we can use that. You also have a self-made one. Okay, now we touch more on this in the advanced user webinar, which we'll be able to find dates for on our website. And then we also break it down into our product areas. So depending on which products you purchase from Electude will depend on how many options you see here. So automotive essentials, so this is our light vehicle content. Now we've got two different formats here. Okay, so we've got the Electude courses light vehicles 1920, and then the same but for 2021. Now you'll notice about how the module count changes. So depending where you are in the world, it depends on how your course structures are. So for instance, in the Netherlands, if the student signs up to do a level 3, they sign up for the full 3 years. So these courses will contain both basics, advanced and specialist content kind of under one subject area. If you go under the 1920, it's then broken down further into our basics, advanced and specialist as separate items. Okay. So depending on which way you want to use it, most of our UK customers will be using a qualification from an awarding body. So in a minute what we'll touch on is how we've already got that content mapped for you. So that's automotive essentials. We have electric drive as another product range. So if you purchase electric drive licenses from us, you will see there that the electric drive courses are broken down in very similar fashions, and heavy vehicles as well. Okay. The other one we're going to talk about is this educational support tab. Okay, now we are redoing some of our mapped content, so you will see a new title there, but we'll email you and let you know this. But you can see there where we've got courses that have then been mapped to City and Guilds and IMI, and also for the standards. So for example, if we went into the IMI course there, okay, we can see that we got the level 1, 2 and 3 diplomas for light vehicle. So if Kat could go to the level 2 light vehicle maintenance and repair principles updated to 2014 there. Okay, you can then recognise, hopefully if you're an IMI awarding body centre, the unit titles. Okay, so LVO 2.1K for lubrication and cooling and mechanical components, we will have all of our content then listed. Like I say, we're in the middle of redoing these, so you will see some updates coming soon, but the same operates there for the city and guilds as well. Okay, now the reason we do that is we understand that a lot of our customers kind of want this kind of off-the-shelf solution where they can say, right, I've got these year twos, they're doing a level 2, it's in light vehicle with this awarding body, and we can essentially just drag and drop that whole course to our group. Okay, there are some other things that we can do with it, but again, we cover that in the advanced user session. All right, the other tab we're going to go across now to our students tab. Now, in our students tab, we really do encourage our customers to think about how they want their groups to look. Now, you may be operating across different campuses. You may have multiple, say, level 1 groups or level 2 groups. So you need to think about how your core structure looks. Okay, so if you want any advice and guidance on this, please do get in contact with either myself or Kat, depending on who looks after your account, and we'll happily talk through these options with you. But we can basically create a parent group, okay, with a child as a subgroup, or we can just create one group straight off. So what's important is we're on the all groups, okay, on the left-hand menu. When we're there, we can then see groups in the middle there with a plus symbol underneath it. And if we click that plus, we can now create just a new group, okay? So for this one, we're going to call it new group. And if you want to add any additional text, you can do so. All right. And from there, we're just going to hit add. Now we can see the left-hand side there where this new group has just appeared. Okay, new group 1. So that's, yeah, we just got a new group and we're going to add some students to it. We'll give them some content, which we talk about in just a second, and they're up and running. However, we might say, look, do you know what? We're going to break this down into cohort years. So again, under the all groups tab, we're going to hit the plus symbol again. And this time we're going to call it light vehicle 2020-2021. Okay, and hit add. Now this time I want to create a subgroup within it. Okay, so we're going to select the LV 2020-2021. So it's highlighted there at the top that this is now the group we're in. And in this, we're going to add another group. So, okay, so this is going to be our subgroup. So in there, we're going to hit the plus. And we're going to call this one level 1 A group. Hit add. Okay, and we're going to add another one. So we're going to have a level 2 A group, etc., etc. Okay, so we can have a level 3, level 4, whatever. However, if we are running more than one level 1 group or one level 2 group, we could simply just go back into Cat. Could we just edit the level 1 A group? So I'll show you how to do it as well. If you hit the pencil icon and just delete the group and the letter A from that. Okay, so we're now going to have just a level 1. If we now click level 1, so again, it's highlighted at the top. Okay, we can now hit the plus groups. You could have level 1A, level 1B. All right, so that's how we create a parent group and a subgroup. And like I say, it's really good if you can think about how this structure is going to work for you, particularly if you're across campuses. So you could have campus A as a parent group and campus B as a parent group, and then break it down into your light vehicle, heavy vehicle, etc. But it's much easier to do this from the beginning than it is to try and do it part way through. All right, so we've created the groups, and what we now need to do is add some students to these groups. And again, please remember it depends on how you set your groups up if you have parents and subs. So if we go back to new group 1, for example, Okay, so this was just a group. There's no subgroups to it, and I want to add my students. I'm going to hit the plus under the Students tab. And in there, I'm going to enter the email address for the student concerned. You'll see as soon as Kat started typing there, that another box appeared underneath. Okay, so you can put another email address in straight away, etc., etc. Likewise, if you have all your student emails, and we do recommend that you use student emails for your establishment rather than their kind of personal emails for two reasons. One, students tend to have multiple email addresses for their personal use. And two, if they forget it and you've got a college email address, it's much easier for you to put in to retrieve that information. But if you've got, say, 15 student email addresses in a spreadsheet, you can copy and paste all 15 into the one box. It will pre-populate for you. As soon as you've got all your student email addresses in there, you hit add, and your students will automatically receive an email saying you've been added to this group. Please click here to log in. All right. So that's if it's just a single group. If we have a parent and subgroups, so if Kat goes into LB 2021, at the minute you can see at the top where it says LB 2021, we still have the option to add students to this. All right, we don't want to add them here. We want to add them to our subgroup. All right, so in this instance, we can go into our level 1, which remember is a parent group, and now we have our two subgroups there, A and B. So this time we're going to click group A, and I'm going to add all my students that are in just group A, and then once we've hit that, we say add, and then we do the same for B. All right, there's a couple of reasons to do this. One, it makes your student count per group much more manageable, especially if you have large cohorts per level. So if you had 50 level 1 students and you can break them down into 5 subgroups, you're only looking at 10 lots of data at a time per student, as opposed to all 50. And it also allows you to export the results in a more manageable format as well. All right. So we've added our students, they've received the emails, but at the minute they cannot access or see any content. Okay, so to add content, again, what we recommend is that you are giving your students courses, okay, rather than individual modules. So again, think of it as modules as pieces of paper and courses as a book. All right, so we want to give them a book of content. So we're going to start with level 1B group because we're already there. So level 1B group is already highlighted. All right, so this is where the change is going to happen. Kat's now going to go to the courses tab, and she's going to go to the IMI tab and say, right, okay, these guys are level 1. So she's going to find the level 1 diploma transport maintenance for the IMI, and she's going to click and drag that across. Okay, and you can see how it went from a circle with a line through it to the 3 Lego blocks. Okay, once you get that, you drop it, and that course will end up into that student group. All right, now you can add multiple courses. Maybe you want to add some small courses. Okay, so we go into Automotive Essentials under the Courses tab. And maybe we want to give them some just wheels and tires. Okay, and we can drag and drop as many courses as we like across. If we try and duplicate the course that we've already given, the system will say, you can't do it because you've already done it. Okay, so it saves you giving them more content than what they actually need. And this time our students can log in and they will see the courses that are available to them, and we'll see what a student login looks like in just a minute. All right. We can also, under this Students tab, see results, time spent, okay, and progress. So here we've got a group that we've set up previously. We've got some historic data on. So I can see under these courses the time spent. So under wheels and tires, for example, okay, breaks, etc., etc. And as I scroll down, I can also see the list of students. Okay, so there are 4 students in this group, and I can see that 3 out of the 4 have actually attempted some work. And if I click on one of those students, I can now see a kind of analysis of how the students progress. All right, so at the very top, you see your kind of green and red charts. Okay, so this is an overall for all of the content that they've got. Okay, and then further down we can actually drill into it per module. So if I clicked on engine block types, for example, now I can see that this learner has had 1 session. Now it says they got 58% correct and 42% incorrect, so that's 58% is first time right answers. Okay, now the red reflects the kind of where the learner has had to be learning something because they've got answers wrong. Now remember, Kat said to you earlier that the learner cannot move on until they've got the question correct. So question 3 here, okay, it has taken that learner 3 attempts to get that question right. So first attempt was wrong, second attempt was wrong, third attempt they got it right, and then they were able to move on to question 4. For every wrong answer they give, that red and green bar, the red starts to increase. All right. Now, again, we can look at this per learner or we can look at this per group. For example, if on question 5, we can see that this learner really struggled, okay, multiple attempts to get that answer right. If on question 5 we saw the same theme happening across all 4 of our learners that were in that group, then we could say, look, you know, there must be a gap in the knowledge there for that group. However, if it's just that one learner, then we know we're just dealing with that one learner in particular. Now, you may also want to export some of this information, all right, for evidence, so particularly if they're apprentices or maybe just for progress checks. All right, now we can do this by group. Okay, so here we're looking at the whole group, but under one particular course. All right, and you'll see at the bottom there's a little download button. If we hit that, it will then export that information into an Excel spreadsheet as a CSV file. We can also do it by student, so we simply click on the student name and then we can download it from there. All right. Now, again, if they've done loads and loads of work, you'll have loads of data in there. And again, which is why we say, you know, looking at the courses, you can actually break the download down to just the course that you're after or just the one student. Okay. So there's one other thing that we need to do, and that is to look at the filter option. Okay. So to find the filter option, we are looking under the settings tab. Okay, and we have a module filter. If we click on that, at the minute it is currently showing all modules, or we can define the filter. So when we look at this, we can actually ask the system to only look for tests, okay, or for quizzes or for lessons, and then that will let us see the information relevant to just the quizzes in this instance. So Cat goes back into the Students tab and then goes to look at results. Okay, now when we do that export, we're only finding information that is relating to the quizzes only. Okay, so it's a way of just filtering your results before you export it. Alternatively, as you know, with Excel spreadsheets, you could put a filter on it on the spreadsheet side. Okay, so I'm just going to ask Kat now to take over and show you what the student view looks like.
Okay, thanks, Dan. So as Dan said, I'm just going to log in as a student now. So we go back to the home page and select student. Put in our information. As I said before, this is going to be sent by email. And what's really important to remember and to double check with your students is that they're definitely using lowercase for the username. And then when they log in, just like you for the first time, they do have to accept the terms and conditions and change their temporary password as well. And then when they log in, they should see something like this. The aim with this section is obviously to keep it very, very simple for the student, so they don't have any sort of distractions and they know exactly where they need to go and what they need to click on. So the tabs at the top here are simply content, certificates, and account. And we'll explain what those mean just in a minute. So this particular student is in one group called Subgroup Level 4 2020. These are the courses that are available to that group and this student. So we can easily select breaks, for example, and we can see all the modules available for completion here. And here it's just module quiz, module quiz. If it's in light blue like this, it means that I've not started it yet. And we can have a look, see on Wheels and Tires course here that I've got a dark blue one, which means that the student is currently busy. It means I've opened that one already. And a grey one, which means that I've completed it. Okay. So a student does get immediate results, which is really nice, but you'll see that when we do start a module, you get that exact same view as we had as a teacher, except this time we have to get the right answer to be able to move on. Okay. You see I can't skip forward at all. I have to get right and wrong answers. All right. There's actually a button I forgot to show you there that's I mentioned earlier when we were logged in as a teacher. That was the button to send a ticket through to us if there was an issue with the module, spelling, things like that. When you're logged in as a teacher, when you're logged in as a student and you press this button, that's actually the ability to give feedback or ask a question to your teacher. This is turned off as standard for all sites, but if it is something that you want to turn on, it will mean that your students can communicate with you about a certain question in the module, for example. So some of you may find that useful. We've also, just like before, got the question mark, and that's going to help the student with whatever section that they might be in. So if I press it now, it'll open up the student manual for the content page, because that's where we are at the minute. Let's just go back a step here. So as Dan said, the reason why it's important to build your groups and your courses properly is so that it doesn't confuse your student and they know exactly what they need to do. So for example, you might actually build a self-made course, which we're going to talk about in our next webinar. And that means that the content's broken down by week. And what the student knows then exactly what dates that he needs to do certain content by. Yeah, that's why it's really important to lay this out the right way, because obviously at the end of the day, we're here for the student. This has been built for the student, and we want to make it as straightforward as possible. The last thing I want to mention is the certificates section. Now, if you do create a course, you have the option to attach a certificate to it. Now, it doesn't automatically give the certificate. You do have to have the teacher there as a middleman to grant the certificate, to put a date on it, to put a comment on it. But it can be a nice way to give students something to work towards, to show progression, things like that. So I just want to let you know that that was there. And we will try and cover that in another section in another webinar. All right, so that's everything that I wanted to show you for the students page. What's really nice about the students is that you may buy access for a student license for 1 year, but actually even after they leave you, their license stays in read-only mode for 5 years, which means that this section here, My History, means they can access anything that they've finished in read-only mode. So it's a bit like keeping the textbook after you've left school. So that's a really nice feature, I think, that a lot of teachers don't know about. So I just wanted to let you know that that was there. I'll now hand over to Dan just to say goodbye. And yeah, hopefully if you've got any questions, you can reach out to us both.
Yeah, thank you for that, Kat. So we hope you've enjoyed following our webinar here, and it's given you lots of things to either think about or maybe answered questions that maybe you didn't even know that you had. And what we would strongly urge you guys to do, okay, is have a play with the system, familiarise yourself with it, okay, because that is going to be the strength for you in the classroom or when you're allocating this content in a remote learning sort of scenario. Now, our platform obviously does work as a plan A and a plan B. Okay, so if you're using this face-to-face with your students in the classroom, you can use that presentation mode. Likewise, your students can do independent study whilst they're on site or even while they're off site. Okay, and you can obviously check their progress and history for modules that they've completed. If you do have any questions, okay, please reach out to Kat or myself. So our emails are kat.treanor, and that's Treanor @electude.com, or myself at daniel.perry@electude.com. All right, so you've got our information there. If you're unsure who looks after you as an account, or maybe you're new to us or thinking about coming on board with us, then just reach out to either of us and we will do our best to help you. Lastly, thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you on another webinar.
Thank you.